We are live. Welcome to actually I think I might have to change the title on this because I think I forgot to. I don't know, it's been a couple days since I actually made this. Yeah, it's Media's live show. Episode Yep, I got the title right. Episode 39. Episode 39 of Media's live show. Celebrate 10 years of Mediocrity 4. So I've been wanting to do this for a while. I've been kind of hinting at it. I even did a one of my first live shows back in, I'm trying to find it, 7 months ago. It was episode 6 of Media's live show. So 33 episodes ago, I did reading my first fanfic ever, or first ever fanfic. We read Stark Tales of the Old Huntsman, first couple chapters, and I said that I would want to revisit that at some point. And then I said a couple months later at some point that it would make sense for me to do it sometime in February, because that was when I first made my presence known online. So obviously I've been like online, like I've had internet access off and on most of my life. I'm not really feeling good today. My face is all red. Like I think I'm coming down with something. And they're looking at me in OBS right now. I don't look good. I might have to switch the camera off for all y'all's benefit. Uh So yeah, obviously I've had internet access off and on my entire life, or most of my life. I think the first time I remember being online was I was probably like 7 or 8 years old. Uh, but 10 years ago was when I built my first computer, and it was 10 years ago that I created the name Mediocrity 4. And I did originally, not for YouTube, but for fanfiction.net. That's where Mediocrity 4 actually got his start. Was on fanfiction. And that was, 10 years ago. It started, technically. Gotta scroll all the way down to get these dates. So it started February 9th, 2016, with the first chapter of Stark Tales of the Old Huntsman. We read that, months and months ago now. Like I said, for episode 6 of this live show. And then on February 18th, so I really should have done this last week. February 18th was when I published the first chapter to RWBYond Veil, which is also when I came up with the name RWBYond. And it had that be like the continuity of my fanfiction series. Like I made a whole big sprawling multi-generational epic with hundreds of characters. Like really, really using my comic book nerd tendencies there in constructing this. I'm gonna put on my hat. Yeah, that's much better. Much better. My hair looks fine. But I don't like how long it's getting. I need a haircut. I need a haircut in order to feel myself. Keep it on my eyes. So yeah, I don't actually have any real notes on this. We're gonna kind of just, I might read a couple select chapters. I might, kind of give a breakdown of the creative process. I feel like that I should do that at some point today as part of this live show. But we got a couple other things to talk about first. First and foremost, the ongoing clusterfuck that is the Warner Brothers acquisition. And keep in mind, this is probably the most important thing to know about the Warner Brothers acquisition. It would not be happening if Warner Brothers didn't suck. This merger should not be happening. This buyout should not be happening. It should not be Netflix and Paramount fighting over this. Warner Brothers should be better than that. Just if you look at the things that Warner Brothers is connected to, the Discovery Channel, CNN, DC Comics, Harry Potter. I have a list. Someone posted a list up here, and MTV, Showtime, TNT, Comedy Central, Game of Thrones, Nickelodeon, Adult Swim, Cartoon Network, like all of that stuff, and they just couldn't do anything with it. And with it, like, not anything good, not anything profitable, which is why and how they got in this position. Like, they're not killing Warner Brothers. They're salvaging the corpse. Put that on a t-shirt. Sorry. I am literally about to type this into the Discord. Yeah, WB fucked itself up. WB has no one to blame for this other than WB. And the people online have no one to blame for this except WB. Like, WB screwed itself up so bad that they are about to be bought out by Paramount. Paramount, the studio whose biggest claim to fame is 50-year-old Tom Cruise still doing his own stunts. That's Paramount's, like, bread and butter right now, is Tom Cruise still willing to do his own stunts. That's all they have going for them. Like, Paramount Plus has, it has, like, I think it had the South Park episodes, like the South Park reboot or South Park, like, continuation. That was kind of like getting people to flock over to that app. But, like, I don't know a single person who actually has Paramount Plus. I know a couple people who have done like a free week or a free month of Paramount Plus. I've done a free trial of Paramount Plus. I've checked it out. It sucks, which is why I don't watch anymore. And I don't know anybody who does. And it's like leading into this, like, HBO Max and stuff, we're taking out all these, like, really great iconic cartoons that are now being put on Tubi. Like, Tubi is outdoing them right now, just in the sheer, like, quantity of quality old shows that they have on their streaming platform. As far as the stuff outside of the film industry, I don't think this is going to impact anything. I don't think Paramount gives a shit about DC Comics. I don't think they're going to touch DC Comics. I think they're going to keep Jim Lee in charge, and Jim Lee is going to continue coasting off of the momentum that DC Comics has kind of built up for itself over the past couple of years. Sox Keller said, media with no notes, gasped. Yeah, I didn't have time. I had to work all week this week. My one day off, I had a bunch of other stuff to do. Like, I actually originally scheduled this for Tuesday at 8, but I just got so caught up in a bunch of other stuff and trying to edit that Volume 2 podcast. I got like 10 minutes left of audio left to go through on that. So that'll be out Saturday. The Volume 2 retrospective podcast will be out Saturday, without a doubt. I have plenty of time between now and then to do the finishing touches on that and get that rendered and uploaded. They'll be on to the Volume 3 retrospective podcast. And then after the Volume 3 retrospective podcast, I'm probably going to do the first of many other show podcasts that Dude and I have done. And then I'll go into like Volume 4, Volume 5, Volume 6, and then we'll probably do another one, then 7, 8, and 9, and then they'll be all like just Dude and I for a while after that, as we kind of make a game plan for the other Ruby podcasts that we have planned. But yeah, the retrospectives are the top priority on the channel right now. Getting those out, getting those edited. The other things I wanted to talk about, there were a couple other things. I don't feel like I don't feel the need to like comment on any of the current events. Oh, those of you who follow me on Twitter will know this. I have started watching the Batman franchise. In chronological order, or in release order, rather. Pseudo release order. There's a couple that I'm kind of fudging around to keep certain things together. There are 43 Batman movies, by my count. Based on like the wikis and what I count as a Batman movie. So like, if it has Batman's name or one of his nicknames in the title, I consider it a Batman movie. So Dark Knight, Dark Knight Returns, Dark Knight Rises, Batman v Superman, Superman Batman Public Enemies, Batman Year One, Batman Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero. Those are all Batman movies. But things like Justice League War, or both the Joss Whedon and Snyder versions of Justice League, the Flash movie, Flashpoint Paradox, the animated movie, Superman Red Sun, Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, Suicide Squad, all the Suicide Squad movies, all the Justice League movies, those don't count. Those don't count. In fact, just a quick rundown of the movies that I do count. Batman 1966 with Adam West. Batman 1989 with Michael Keaton. Batman Returns. Batman Mask of the Phantasm. Batman Forever. Batman and Robin. Batman Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero. Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. Batman Mystery of the Batwoman. The Batman vs. Dracula. That'll be the first one that I haven't seen yet. I've never seen the Batman vs. Dracula. Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, Gotham Knight, Superman Batman Public Enemies, Superman Batman Apocalypse, Batman Under the Red Hood, Batman Year One, The Dark Knight Rises, The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and 2, Batman Assault on Arkham, The Son of Batman, Batman vs. Robin, Batman Unlimited, Animal Instincts, yes, I'm even including Batman Unlimited, Batman Unlimited Monster Mayhem, Batman The Killing Joke, Batman Bad Blood, Batman Return of the Caped Crusader, Batman vs. Two-Face, Lego Batman, Batman and Harley Quinn, Batman Ninja, Scooby-Doo and Batman the Brave and the Bold, Batman Gotham by Gaslight, Batman Hush, Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Long Halloween, Batman Soul of the Dragon, The Batman with Robert Pattinson, Batman and Superman Super Sons, The Doom That Came to Gotham, Merry Little Batman, Batman Ninja vs. Yakuza League, and Aztec Batman. Those are the things that I consider Batman movies. And of those, I have not seen Aztec Batman, Batman Ninja vs. Yakuza League, Merry Little Batman, The Doom That Came to Gotham, Batman Superman Super Sons, Batman Soul of the Dragon. I haven't seen the Long Halloween movie. Haven't seen Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't remember if I've seen the Gotham by Gaslight movie. I read the comic. Haven't seen Scooby-Doo and Batman the Brave and the Bold, which is so bizarre for me because I love both of those things. Haven't seen Batman and Harley Quinn. Haven't seen either of the Batman Unlimited movies. And I think that's it. I think I've seen Gotham Knight. I don't remember anything about it. Blade Star said hello, just here for tad bit. But have you heard of the Joker movie called Batman D's Nuts? uh, you'll notice that neither the Catwoman movie with Halle Berry or either of the Joker movies with Joaquin Phoenix were on that list because I don't count them. Michael Kaufman 3228 said, I remember renting the Batman vs. Dracula during Halloween when Blockbuster was still alive. Ah, Blockbuster. Those were the days. So I completely skipped out on the Batman. The 2000, I think it started coming out like 2004, 2005. I remember when it was coming out, I saw a commercial for it and I saw their version of the Joker and I had just a visceral negative reaction to it. Remember, I was like 10, 11 years old at the time and I just had this vehement like, nope, not cool with that. And then I just never watched the show. Even though I've heard so many good things about it. I've never watched a single episode. Never watched a single episode, haven't watched this movie. This will be my first exposure to that version of Batman. But yeah, I've heard good things, so very, very much looking forward to that. And I've been live tweeting my views on those as well. Last night I did Batman and Robin, where I came to the conclusion that Batman and Robin is definitely dog shit, but it's probably not my least favorite Batman movie. I'm gonna spoil you guys because y'all are watching my live show, and so y'all are the top tier fans. Uh, Batman Bad Blood from the DC animated universe is the worst Batman movie, and it's not even really close. I fucking hated that movie. I hate a lot of the DC animated movie universe. There's like 20 films and only like 3 of them are good. Um, I liked. I thought Son of Batman was okay. Batman vs. That was actually a big problem with it, is that like it's 20 movies and 10 of them are Batman. I thought their version of Hush was okay. I thought Son of Batman was okay. It's actually a pretty good introduction for Damian Wayne. Like if you know jack shit about Damian Wayne, you've never read any of the comics, Son of Batman is actually a pretty good starting point. Like if you want to like, who what do you mean there's more than one Robin? If you're one of those people like, what do you mean there's more than like 2 Robins? I played the Arkham games. I know about Dick Grayson. I know about Tim Drake. I even know about Jason Todd because I played Arkham Knight. I played Arkham Knight. I saw Under the Red Hood once when it came out. If you're one of those people and you hear someone mention Damian Wayne, do not read the Grant Morrison run. Start with Son of Batman. It's not a great movie. In fact, it might not even be that good. But it is probably the best entry point for Damian Wayne you're ever going to get. Then I actually really like Batman vs. Robin. That title fucking lies. It is not about Batman fighting Robin, but it does cover like it does do its own version of the Court of Owls, which is really dope. And you get like Alfred with the shotgun in the movie. It's really cool. Really cool. Then I dug their Judas Contract movie. I dug Judas Contract. I even dug their Death of Superman and Reign of the Superman. I thought it was much better than the Superman Doomsday from like 2005, which tried to combine both storylines into one like 80-minute long movie, and it was such a fucking disaster. Giving them both their own like 90 to 100-minute movies was the better call. What else? There is a new episode of JJK today. I haven't watched it yet, so I don't want to get into JJK today or Free Reign. There wasn't a new Free Reign episode last week, so I'll be catching up with JJK and Free Reign for the next live show next week, Tuesday. The Olympics are happening. I should probably comment on those. I've watched a couple of the events. I watched the like skating events, so I actually saw that Alyssa Liu girl that just people are so coping over. It goes back to the whole like people who say everything is political don't actually understand what they mean, what people mean when they say don't be a political. Uh, so yeah, this last week I watched Batman 66, Batman 89, Batman Returns, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin. Uh, Batman and Robin is the worst of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is far and away the worst of those six, and the best is Mask of the Phantasm. Shocker. I know. Such a normie. I have so, someone with this many Batman hot takes should not have this much of a normie opinion on Batman movies. But here I am, the most normie taste in Batman movies, and yet I hate the Grant Morrison run and hate Tom King and kind of mixed to neutral on Scott Snyder, and I don't care much for the Absolute Universe, and Batgirl's my favorite Bat Family character. Although I think that's maybe it's just the internet circles I hang out in. I feel like that's a common opinion. Cassandra Cain is great. Oh, I'm gonna maybe get to talk about her new comic again next week because new issues coming out. I might have to check it out. Well, I'm definitely gonna have to check it out at some point. The question on that is whether I run up to the comic store and buy it, download it digitally, or if I wait until the story arc is over and then binge read the next like 3 or 4 issues. Because I heard that this next storyline is gonna only be like 3 or 4 issues. So without further ado, for anybody interested, anybody wondering, the thumbnail I used today is a picture drawn by Kitty Kirishima. She has done art for the channel on numerous occasions. She did my avatar. She did all of my avatars actually. The first avatar I had was a picture of one of my OCs, one of my one of my original RWBY characters, Rubrum. Uh, she drew a picture of him, and then I used that as my first profile pic when I jumped into doing YouTube almost 10 years ago now. But the picture is of it's Citrine Rose and Eisenhurt Schnee. Ice Schnee. Ice is the daughter of Weiss, and Citrine is the daughter of Ruby and Jean. So, here's some backstory. When RWBY Volume 2 came out, I became a fan of RWBY. That was the volume that actually made me a fan. And anytime I'm a fan of something, I'm like, oh man, what can they do next? And then I start like just brainstorming ideas for like what I would do if I were in charge. I've always done that. I've done this as a kid, since I was a kid. I've done this with anything that I've liked. Very rarely would I actually like create new characters though. But as I was doing that with RWBY, I originally had a 100 chapter outline that would go through like 5 arcs, including I had my own version of the Vital Festival tournament because this was pre Volume 3. But then as I kind of like put it off, I decided like I'm gonna wait until Volume 3 comes out. Volume 3 is coming out, and it's promising to be a big deal. So I'll see what happens then, see who's left alive, see who's dead, see if anybody even died. Kind of get a better idea of the tone and some of the characters, get some of those answers, or get some of those mysteries solved before I jump forward on this. And that ended up being a good call. When Volume 3 came out, when Penny died. When Penny died. When she got turned into quarters. I threw out about 70% of my outline. No, I threw about 50% of my outline out. And then I threw out about 50% of what was left when Pyrrha died. Because I was also going to kill off Pyrrha, but I wasn't going to kill her off until, like, close to the final battle. I was not planning on her dying so soon, and her dying in Volume 3 made me have to rewrite and completely change everything. And suddenly I had this void. I had plans for Penny. I had plans for Penny getting hacked and initially, and then I had plans to like resurrect her and have her get hacked afterwards. But she was actually gonna have her own team, and be like the Atlas team. Same thing that with like Team Ruby and Team Juniper are like the Veil teams. Team Sun was going to be the Haven team. There's going to be another team that's going to be like the Shade team, and then Penny's team was going to be the Atlas team. It was going to be like all of them working together to fight the bad guys. And then, so what ended up being left was a 52 chapter outline that didn't have a name yet. It was just called RWBY Fanfic Volume 4, or RWBY Volume 4 Fanfic, or whatever. And I've said this before, that a lot of the challenges early on were trying to like rectify the ending of Volume 3 and get the characters into a position that I wanted them in for the stuff that I actually had more plans for. I didn't really do a whole lot of planning when it came to the first arc. I think I said this before. The first like 26 chapters are pretty slapdash because it was just me trying to salvage as much from those early bits of the original outline as I could. The name RWBYond did not exist. The name RWBYond did not exist until I needed a title. Until I was already in the middle of uploading the first chapter, and I was like, I should probably come up with the title for this now. Something catchy. Ruby R. I ended up settling on RWBYond Veil. Because it is ostensibly about the girls, Team Ruby, going beyond the sanctity of Veil and journeying out into the world, a dangerous world of monsters and madmen. I really don't want to read anything from these first like 20 or so chapters. So embarrassing. But yeah, so the first arc was the Mayhem, or no, I ended up retroactively referring to it as the Haven arc, or the Haven City arc, or the Haven Conference arc, because the first arc of RWBYond is about everyone gathering in Mistral, in Haven City, which is the capital of Mistral in RWBYond. Yeah, I did this thing where when the kingdoms were founded, Veil and Vacuo were the names of the kingdoms and the capital cities, whereas Mantle and Mistral were the names of the kingdoms, but the capital cities were Atlas and Haven. And then at some point, Atlas like took over and renamed the entire kingdom Atlas, kind of leaving Mantle behind. Part of this whole process was creating this whole like massive timeline, and so like if you want to talk chronologically, the first one would be RWBYond Origins, and then the Old Huntsman parts of Stark Tales of the Old Huntsman. And then Violet Rose and Old Huntsman's Tale. Then the Stark parts of Stark Tales of the Old Huntsman. Then RWBYond Hope, RWBYond Human, RWBYond Sisters, RWBYond Destiny, and I feel like there's one more. Maybe not. I think those might be a title. All the RWBYonds. Yeah, RWBYond Destiny, RWBYond Hope, RWBYond Human, RWBYond Sisters. Yeah, those four. Those four take place all in the same like time period. Then after that is Ruby's volumes 1, 2, and 3. Then RWBYond Veil. Then RWBYond Happily Ever After. And then RWBYond War. Then RWBYond the Sea. And then RWBYond Generations and RWBYond Home. So those are the RWBYond canon events. So yeah. So the originally there's going to be like 52 chapters for what would eventually become RWBYond Veil. And then I was going to do a time skip, a 5-year time skip. And suddenly, and I was going to like just completely skip over the climax. I was going to completely skip over the death of Salem. I was going to make the death of the queen, because I didn't know her name was Salem at the point of me writing that. It wasn't until the very end of volume 3, the post credit scene, that we found out her name was Salem. So I was gonna skip over all that and have that be kind of like a mystery. Like no one really knows how Salem was defeated, and that was going to be part of the plot of what ended up becoming RWBYond War. My better judgment ended up winning out, and so I created another story called RWBYond Tales of the Warfront, which ended up becoming the second half of RWBYond Veil. I ended up making all that one big story. So there's 5 arcs in RWBYond Veil: the Haven City arc, the Storm arc, or Isle of Storms arc, the Warfront arc, the Dead and the Damned arc, aka the Deadeye Invasion, and the Grimoire arc. Write all that down. So then RWBYond War ended up becoming its own thing, and it is I'm quite proud of it. Give me just a minute. So I kind of want to rank them based on how much fun I had writing them and how proud of them I am. Uh, Sorry, I wish I had. Again, I didn't have time to do this before the stream, so it's gonna give me a minute. Damned. And I should do. Ah, man. So, then after Ruby on Veil came Ruby on Happily Ever After, which was just an extended epilogue. Really, like, not really anything of note happens for real. It's just kind of like a where are they now? Like, what happens to them after the battle. Then then after Ruby on War came Ruby on Generations. That was when I created like a whole new generation of people. Like I created children for all the characters. Ruby ended up having 5 children. Then Ren and Nora ended up having 4. Weiss ended up having 2. Yang ended up having 2, but she had hers way later. And Blake ended up only having the 1. In fact, let me see if I can. I also have Gift for a Rose, which is a one shot that I do consider canon. And then I kind of forgot to mention All That Matters, which is a shame because All That Matters might be my favorite bit of fan fiction I've ever written. All That Matters takes place in between Ruby on War and Ruby on Generations. Nova's like 12 years old, and it's the story of how Nova's heart was broken once and for all. It's an 11 chapter story. So I don't think I could get away with not reading some of this. But before I do that, I do want to try to rank the arcs. So give me just a minute and I will try to throw together this list real quick. For your viewing pleasure, though. Pictures. Characters. There. Boom. 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 Good enough. Alright. So, I know that's going to be at the bottom. Y'all are going to hear me muttering as I do this. That should definitely be at the top. Then that. Then these two definitely. So then, there's the final arc. Where should the world's strongest arc be? Probably, definitely above these 3. Probably above all those. Not too high. There. That's good. So then I need to also do, think. And then the Huntsman games. Then I need to do, man, where should the final of Generations be? Probably not above Storms. Probably above the finale. I'll also put the Flood there too. So then that takes care of, right? Oh, Tomorrow People. I need the Tomorrow People arc to finish that up. Yeah, definitely not as good as any of those. I can count Give for a Rose. We'll count the Rose House though, and Sisters. So. And as I go through these, um, I'll read little excerpt from each of those arcs. All right, I'm ready. I should have done that before I started streaming. So, at the very bottom, I have the first arc, the Haven City arc. So let's read a little excerpt from that. Where'd it go? Veil. Let's go with. Let's do this this moment. It's the moment when Yang reunites with Raven in RWBYond. It's in chapter 12 of RWBYond Veil. The tension in the air was palpable. These things tended to go unnoticed if you went for the slow journey, but they didn't have time for that. They'd be lucky to have made it to the first round of bureaucratic name calling as is. Luckily, Raven had cooperated in giving him what he needed to get to Haven ASAP. This is from Crow's perspective. As he stepped through the threshold, carrying his group from Patch to Haven, it felt like being thrown from an icebox to a furnace. Teleportation sucked, but in this case it was necessary. The first thing he did was take those infernal eyepieces off. It had been nearly 20 years since he had worn both of them at once, something he vowed not to do after someone happened to mention that they made him look like his father. That is to say, he looked like a damn fool. He broke the eyepiece apart and put his half, the one for the left eye, in his coat pocket. He looked at his companions. Ty was holding up. It wouldn't be his first rodeo, but time has a way of making you forget that feeling you get when you jump through a black gate. Rubrum was barely holding his lunch in, which was more than he could say for Yang. Ty knew what to expect and could prepare for it. Rubrum at least had his goggles, which helped him with the worst of it, but Yang got the full brunt of it. She was desperately refilling the air in her lungs. Her eyes were red, despite no anger on her face. Her hair was glowing, but with a red energy instead of the yellow it burned with under usual stress. It must be the Bronwyn in her, jumping through the black gate, bringing out those recessive genes inside her. As soon as she caught her breath and regained her composure, her hair dimming and her eyes returning to their usual lilac hue, Crow tossed her the other eyepiece, the half of the right eye, the half that belonged to Raven. Skipping through, I'm gonna skip through this next bit of dialogue because this is before Raven jumps in. Where does Raven come in? Is she even in this chapter? Okay, there it is. Because there's a lot of like catching up with Ruby and Crow and Ty and it's not even that long of a chapter. Oh, and they also meet up with Felix, the headmaster of Shade Academy in this. I won't sit here and let my daughter be turned into a weapon for Ozpin's crusade, especially after what happened to her mother. Ty's eyes were tearing. There was a fury in his eyes, one that Crow hadn't seen in a long time. You might not have a choice, darling, a voice called out. Everyone turned to the window to see her. Damn it, of all the rotten timing. Ruby Rose, it's a pleasure to finally meet you, she said. Most of the people in the room looked confused, but the three who knew, they were furious. The person you want to ask about Salem, as for why the person you want to ask about is Salem. As for why he's here, it's to get away from me. Fat load of good that did him. Excuse me, I don't believe Felix started, but was interrupted by Yang screaming and jumping across the room. Boy, was she pissed, and she had every right to be. She lunged with her new arm, hoping to punch the newcomer right in the face. The punch was blocked when that woman lifted her sheath to protect her masked face. The glass behind her cracked and shattered. Stupid brat, no wonder you lost an arm to Adam. Yeah. I don't want to read whole chapters because some of these chapters get really long. That was actually one of the shorter ones. And I only read like part of it. So, next would be RWBYond Human. That is the Adam backstory. Which, I felt like it was 7 chapters. I don't remember why I decided to write an Adam backstory. I think it was because I wanted to hype up Cypher. Cypher was the main villain in RWBYond Generations, and I wanted to kind of recontextualize some things by making them involved with Adam's backstory, even though Adam was dead by this point. So RWBYond Human is like a story like how he met Blake and how he met Raven, because I was a big subscriber to the Adam is Raven's former student theory. It just made so much sense. And it would also make sense and I actually kind of made this part of his motivation that every time he has tried to build a relationship with a human, that human has betrayed him or broken his heart, and he really had a thing for Raven, really had a mommy complex about her, and then she dumped him. She left him, and just like she did her own kid. Raven is such a tragic figure in RWBYond. Someone who is so scared of actual deep personal connection that she self-sabotages every time she tries to form something positive in her life. That's the way I portrayed her. No, she is a slave to her own ambitions, a slave to her own goals and drive, at the expense of all else, including but not limited to her family. I really don't want to read anything. I don't even remember half the shit. I don't remember hardly anything about RWBYond Human. I know I purposely didn't use the names of Blake's parents. I just called them Mr. and Mrs. Belladonna because I was worried that they were going to show up at some point, even though I was still convinced that they were dead. I wrote this story. It was September 11th to September 17th of 2016 that I published RWBYond Human. Because for a large chunk of RWBYond, I was doing a chapter a day, or publishing a chapter a day. I was writing in bulk. And it shows. It shows with the lack of grammar checks, lack of spelling checks, lack of structural checks, retcons, plot holes, the characters' names changing, characters' names spelling getting changed. I think I gave Jean's father 3 different names over the course of RWBYond before I settled on Blanche. Yeah. I really don't want to read. It's too cringe. It's so just not the kind of writer I am now. Can I read Night Watch instead? I'll just read this opening bit. Adam had always had a rough life. Even now that the war was over, Faunus weren't exactly treated fairly. Adam didn't really understand why. He was only 5 years old. All he knew is that his mother had died in a hospital in Vacuo towards the end of the war. His father had died shortly before then, so 5-year-old Adam was technically on his own. But he wasn't alone. A few members of the White Fang organization looked after him. He didn't live with the Belladonnas, but if he was ever starving or desperate for a bath and a warm bed, they were always there to help. In the meantime, he lived on the streets. So right away, the main thing I really want to do is Adam and Blake have known each other their entire life. Adam has known Blake's parents longer than Blake has been alive. That was the vibe. I really wanted to kind of portray this idea that a lot of this stems from me not liking Blake. But I wanted it to be he sees her more as a sister, even though she's the one who had a crush on him. And whether or not they were ever really a couple, I don't remember if I ever actually did anything with that. I did give them a lot of history, and they talk about their history, talk about the missions they went together, the places that they would go out to eat together, the games they would play together. I did a lot of that. I did a lot of that in this story. I did a lot of that in RWBYond Veil. And a little bit of that in RWBYond War, too, when Adam comes back for one last hurrah before he gets 86th. But I don't recall if I ever, dedicated page time to them having actually gone out. I don't think I ever, made a decision on that. Adam kept to himself. He rarely interacted with people, especially humans. He could take care of himself well enough, but he knew he couldn't rely on the Belladonna's help, especially with a newborn baby in the house. Even though Blake was turning too soon, they had their own problems. He had no right to become a burden to them. Today was different. Today he wanted that delicious loaf of bread. It was an impulse, really, and Adam was regretting it. The sun had barely begun to rise, and he was being chased by a pair of people. They weren't very old. They looked younger than the adults. They had seen him swipe the loaf of bread and decided to give chase. One of them had some sort of collapsed weapon strapped to his hip. Adam's heart... So, it's a huntsman, or a Huntsman Academy student. Adam's heart was racing faster than his feet. He turned down an alley, but the one with the weapon cut him off and punched him in the stomach. Adam tried getting up, only to be kicked down from behind by the other guy. "What do we have here?" the guy said. He was wearing a yellow shirt and jeans. He took his weapon out and unfolded it, revealing it to be a bat. Two more appeared from around the corner, and they leaned against the alley walls while the other two stayed close to Adam. "A little thief," the other one who was wearing red said. He grabbed Adam by the hair. "Horns. He's a faunus." "Typical." The one with the bat rammed the blunt end of his weapon into Adam's gut, and the other punched him. "Why don't you go back to Menagerie where you belong?" "You faunus are nothing but trouble," said the red shirt. "You may have won your little battle for independence, but you look around you. You've been nothing but a burden to us ever since," the yellow shirt said. "Screw you!" Adam punched him in the face, but his fist was deflected by a flash of light. "Give it up, kid. We're second-year students at Haven Academy. Try all you like, but we're stronger than you." Should probably be Shade Academy, unless this was during the Vital Festival. That slipped right past. Actually, this probably should be a Mistral, given some of the things I did with Blake later on. He slapped Adam across the face. Adam tossed him the bread. Take it and leave me alone." You think giving it back will change anything? You've already infected it with your stench. Boy, I can write racism really well. It's a little concerning. Uh, if we leave you alone, you'll probably steal again. So we're going to make sure you never think about stealing again. Two grown men beating a toddler. A voice said. In an instant, the two that had stayed silent were kicked into a pile of trash and thrown into a wall. You're a disgrace to your profession. She moved like a blur and kicked the yellow shirt guy in the chin. She had a large, what appeared to be a sheath strapped to her hip. Then again, she smashed the sheath into the red guy's shirt, forcing him to let Adam go. Huntsmen really have been scraping the bottom of the barrel lately. The one that had picked up the bread took a swing at her, but he was kicked in the stomach. The woman caught the bread as it left the man's hand. In second years, I think it's time for Vinny Sazul to call the headmaster business quits. So that is our introduction to Raven in the story. She saved him from a bunch of bully huntsman students. And Vinny Azul is one of it was throwaway name. The Azul family are big time huntsmen in Mistral. They're like the Schnees of Mistral, and a couple of them play major roles in the RWBYond cycle. The Tethys Azul is the commander of the Blue Knight Squadron, Blue Knight Battalion, or Blue Knight Company, and during the Grim War of RWBYond Vale. And he becomes the Haven headmaster after the headmaster dies to Salem. Then he dies and gets replaced by Lionheart, Leonardo Lionheart, the RWBYond version of him. Then you also have Rio Azul, who is a member of Team Arany, who is our major professional huntsman OCs. It's Team Arany is August Gold, Rio Azul, Rubrum Snaps, and Natalie Blanche. They're very prominent throughout RWBYond Vale. And then Rio's kid, Topaz Azul, is a member of Team Citrine in RWBYond Generations. So she plays a very significant role there. How long have I been going? I've been going for about an hour. So I kind of want to wrap this up early because I do have a lot of editing to do. So I'm going to read through, give kind of a synopsis of each one as I get there. So I do want to talk about a little bit of each of the stories before I call it quits. So yeah, 24 was the Haven City arc. That is the first arc of RWBYond Vale. Team Ruby, or Team Ranger rather, heads to Mistral. They meet up with Rio. Yang gets a new arm from Rubrum. Vice gets picked up from Atlas by Natalie, and Blake gets hunted down by August Gold, so that all of Team Ruby basically teams up with all of Team Arany, and they all converge onto Haven City as part of Operation Gold Standard, which is basically like gather every witness to the fall of Beacon and Haven and have them all talk things out and give their side of the story. That conference gets crashed by a guy named Edwin Glass, who works for Salem. He's the one who ends up... He's kind of the Arthur Watts. He's RWBYond's answer to Arthur Watts. At least as far as like Arthur Watts' role in the series as a subordinate to Salem. He's kind of that. And he hacks like the drones, he hacks Penny, and it leads to a massive grim invasion in Haven City. That's like gonna be the fall of Beacon all over again, and this time like Salem's pulling out all the stops. She has all of her lieutenants there. You have a Team Ranger versus Cinder, Adam versus Blake, and it's Blake, August, and Raven all fight Adam throughout that arc. You have Ty versus a guy named Boulder, who is like RWBYond's answer to Hazel. And then Crow versus Toby. Toby is a little bit of Tyrion, a little bit of Watts. He hates Cinder the same way Watts does, but he is a zealot for Salem like Tyrion. And obviously, like Tyrion, Hazel, and Watts did not exist yet. They had not been introduced in the series when I was writing this. This was pre-Volume 4. But I did end up coming up with a very similar villain dynamic with Salem's subordinates. And then Ruby unlocks her silver eye powers and defeats a giant dinosaur Grim. And starts tapping into her maiden powers as well. RWBYond Human, that's the Adam backstory. Adam gets trained by Raven. Raven betrays him. They have a run-in with Cypher, which are future bad guys. And then Adam gets in a relationship of some sorts with Blake before Blake leaves and Adam goes off the deep end. Ruby on the Sea is the next one I want to talk about because it's only 3 chapters long and it needed to be longer. This was basically originally going to just be an epilogue story for RWBYond War. Blake, Sun, and Yang go to an island that is uncharted. It's not on any of the newer maps. It's only on the old maps. And they discover that Blake's parents are still alive, that they had been actually teleported to this island along with select other faunus, purebred faunus, because for whatever reason, Cypher, the bad guys of this saga, of that middle part of the whole RWBYond cycle, they need samples from purebred, pure-blooded faunus in order to resurrect their master, Avis Braun. But yeah, they kidnapped the Belladonnas, teleported them to this island. Blake finds them, and then it kind of freaks her the fuck out that they're planning things for purebred faunus because she's a pureblood faunus and her daughter's a pureblood faunus, and so she is like, I have to hunt down Cypher. I have to be the one to take care of business. I can't rely on Ruby. I can't rely on my team. I can rely on my husband, son, insofar as he's the one who gets to stay at home and take care of the kid, Nova. I can rely on Yang insofar as she can divide her time between helping me out and helping out at the house. That's Blake's whole motivation for the next 16 years of her life following RWBYond the Sea. It's all because what she sees in this story spooks her. Number 21 is RWBYond Sisters. This is a slice of life story revolving around Jean and his 7 sisters. They each get a chapter dedicated to them. GQ Smith said you should change the names and just make this a novel. I'm already cribbing a bunch of the shit for Night Watch. Don't tell anyone that Prim, Johnny, and Nova are coming back as different characters in Night Watch later on. It's happening. In fact, you're gonna get introduced to one of them in the next book, very briefly. You should know by the character description. So next ranked is RWBYond Origins. This was my prequel detailing the origin of Ozpin and Salem and the Maidens and the Silver Eye Powers and the Grimoire. It's only 7 chapters. It needed to be a lot more than that. That's the biggest problem with it, is that it's just so exposition-y. It's 7 chapters that take place over the course of several decades. But it's basically just me explaining things. 19 is the Huntsman Games. This is the second arc from RWBYond Generations. Innocent competition. The schools get together, Vital Festival style, and they come up with 5 unique challenges that challenge the different aspects of being a huntsman, and they're each designed by a noteworthy huntsman from around the world. Ruby gets to design the Valor test. Felix Strider, former headmaster of Shade Academy, gets to design the survival test. Rubrum and Penny get to work together to design the ingenuity test. And I don't remember what the other two are off the top of my head. I know one of them, like Kurome, one of the characters who is Kurome was a character who was a bad guy in RWBYond Veil and then went through a face turn throughout the second half of RWBYond Veil and became a full-blown ally and a pretty staple, constant character for the rest of the RWBYond cycle. Then right above that is the first arc from RWBYond Generations, Remnant's Most Wanted. Remnant's Most Wanted is a better plot because it's like a mystery. You know, it's the Scooby Gang. It's Team Citrine and Team Janice being like, hey, there's bad guys about. Let's go hunt them down and totally like not trying to fight them. We're just investigating. We're just trying to like do recon. We're doing recon. And then they get busted and get in a lot of trouble and have to end up fighting Mercury and Emerald. Mercury and Emerald are like the main bad guys of this arc, along with their kid, Jet Black. Huntsman Games should probably be higher because it does have one of my favorite moments in it, which is the whole like Blake situation. Basically, like, Ruby finds out that Blake is hunting down Cypher, and that's why she's been so absent from Nova's life all these years. And Ruby gets so upset that she throws Blake through a wall. She, like, grabs Blake by the collar, throws her through a wall, and shouts, like, are you fucking insane? She doesn't curse, but she does say, like, are you insane? Yeah, the Huntsman Games does have the whole, like, Nova idol worship of Ruby and trying to become her apprentice, but so much of it is just so superfluous. Like, this is not great. So 17 is the Rose House. This was another slice of life thing. It's domestic Lancaster, the story. It's just Ruby and Jean being a happily married couple with children. 16 is RWBYond Hope, which basically has 3 parts to it. Like, I could probably have all 3 like arcs of RWBYond Hope on here, and they would all be about the same, honestly. Which is that oh, I don't have Violet Rose on here. Oh well. Y'all aren't keeping count, right? You won't notice if I go from number 17 to a second number 17, right? Oh, I also don't have Stark Tales of the Old Huntsman. Yeah, I'm having both the Stark arc and the Old Huntsman arc below RWBYond Human. They kind of suck too. Yeah. So Stark Tales of the Old Huntsman, that was so I'll briefly go over those. Stark Tales of the Old Huntsman, that was like there's an A plot and B plot. Odd number of chapters were about the Old Huntsman. Even number of chapters were about Stark. The Old Huntsmen were the founders of the Academy. There's 16 of them. There's only like 12 chapters. 16 characters, 12 chapters. Yeah, probably should have taken my time with that one a bit more. And then Stark was the even chapters, and that was the story of Team Stark. Old Huntsman was just about the end of the Great War, the battle against the Grimoire on the island of Vital, the Vital Peace Treaty, and the founding of the academies. The Stark part was about Team Stark, their origin story, their like how they met, their turn in the Vital Festival tournament, and the Faunus Rights Revolution. Like, they fought in the Faunus Rights Revolution. They were guards at a hospital in Vacuo called Nightingale Hospital that was laid waste, got attacked and burned down, a bunch of casualties. Then they also participated in the Battle of Demon's Run, because I'm a Doctor Who fan, and that was like where they got to help take down a corrupt Atlesian general with the help of Ironwood. Ironwood, and it was the moment where like Ironwood takes over Atlas, overthrows the corrupt general that was running Mantle before that, and basically takes complete control over Atlas Academy in order to prevent Salem from having another lieutenant like Draco, like General Draco. Like, that was kind of his motivation there. And it's also about how Raven was first tempted by one of the devils of the world, avarice, and why she abandoned her friends and family. Anyway, so going on to number 17 is RWBYond Hope. I already talked about this one. This is the Summer Rose fanfic. The Summer Rose syndrome. Like, the first third is about Summer raising Yang and Ruby and being, very domestic. Domestic Summer X tie action. The second third is about her final mission. How her final mission involved the Arbiters of Truth, which included Avarice and Raven, Ozpin, Salem, the Grimoire King, and there was a mission to seal King and keep him from trying to conquer the world again. So number 16 is the Tomorrow People arc. That is the fourth arc from RWBYond Generations. It is basically just MacGuffin hunt. The team, Citrine, Janice, and a select huntsman, including Ruby, all gather up together in order to try to hunt down the Relic of Creation before Cypher gets their hands on it, and they end up fighting a bunch of androids. And Tyrion is also involved. This is the arc that had Tyrion kind of pop off. RWBYond Tyrion is very different from canon Tyrion in that he is the same age, despite there being a 20-year difference. So he's in his, we'll say, late 30s or mid 30s in RWBY Volume 4. He's in his mid 30s in RWBYond Generations. Ruby is in her 40s in RWBYond Generations. She's in her early 40s. RWBYond Ruby is older than RWBYond Tyrion. In fact, part of RWBYond Tyrion's backstory is that he was a zealot of Salem who was too young and too inexperienced to be on the front lines and be a fighter. And he regrets that. He regrets not being able to enjoy the glory of the Grim War. And he also kind of worships Cinder because he recognizes Cinder as the one true rightful heir to Salem's throne. And so it literally is just Cinder's wildest dream. RWBYond Cinder is a fucking menace. She's still, even at the very end, after being not even all that relevant, she's still, popping off in the final saga. So after the Tomorrow People, I have RWBYond Happily Ever After. You can also divide this into two. This is the just extended epilogue for RWBYond Veil with some setup for RWBYond War. 14 is Dead and the Damned. This is actually the most popular part of RWBYond Veil because it's the part where Lancaster became official. Ruby and Jean confessed to each other. But it is also a shameless ripoff of the fourth Great Shinobi War from Naruto Shippuden. There's a guy named Necros Faust whose semblance allows him to create mock-ups of warriors from history so long as he has a bit of their DNA and some compatible dust. He can bring them back with most of their memories intact and a lighter version of their semblance and their personality and stuff. So that's the Den of the Damned arc. So you got like Ruby versus her grandfather, Jean versus his great grandfather. Winter gets to fight her great grandfather. You know, the Jackson Schnee, the founder of the Schnee Dust Company. Uh, you got like Yang fights her grandfather, the Crow and Raven's dad, and then Crow and Raven get to fight their dad together. Uh, Jean, the only really cool, legitimately great fights in it are Jean versus Pyrrha. You get Jean versus Pyrrha. Kind of writes itself. And then the final fights when you have the Black Knights. Salem's three most powerful lieutenants. The three most powerful lieutenants Salem has ever had. Alistair Mordred, Mordor Draco, and Toby. Working together to invade Atlas. It's the Deadeye invasion. So then after that would be the World's Strongest arc. This is another tournament arc. This is from RWBYond Home. This is actually the penultimate saga of RWBYond, of the RWBYond cycle. A bunch of people are stealing aura from people, from huntsmen and huntresses and criminals, and they're using it for nefarious purposes. They're using it to resurrect the Grimoire. They're planning on resurrecting the Grimoire and launching another invasion of Remnant. And so Prim, Nova, and the gang, they go undercover in this tournament. Well, not undercover, but they participate in this tournament. The whole tournament gets set up in order to try to bait these hunters out. And it works, and there's a lot of really cool fights. You get like a rematch with Johnny and his rival Hugh. You get Prim versus Nova. Finally, that rivalry had been boiling since the start of RWBYond Home. RWBYond Home is the longest part of RWBYond by word count. It's 100 chapters, and each chapter is like 5,000 words or more. Number 12 is Tales from the Warfront. This is the third arc of RWBYond Vale. It's a lot of vignettes. You get a lot of really cool fights. It's mostly just fights, like Glinda versus Cinder, Cinder versus Team Ruby, Crow versus Toby, Jean versus Toby, Jean versus Jervis Clog. You don't know. If you haven't read RWBYond, you don't know who half these people are. You get another like a Blake and Adam fight in that. You get no, you don't get Ruby versus Adam. That's in Den of the Damned. I should probably have Den of the Man. If Den of the Damned wasn't such a ripoff of Naruto Shippuden, I probably should have it higher because it also has Ruby versus Adam. When Ruby like catches Adam's sword with her bare hand and just punches his fucking shit in. Because I fucking hate that Canon Ruby can't fight hand to hand, even though she can travel at like Mach 5 speeds and swing Crescent Rose around like it's nothing. Like, she should be punching holes into people. Like, when she punches a dude in their ribs should be turning to jelly. And that's what Ruby ends up becoming in RWBYond. Ruby's kind of busted. But everyone's kind of busted. Like, the power ceiling is just much, much higher in RWBYond than it is in the canon series. So after that is the Grimoire arc. I feel like the Grimoire were just a little undercooked in RWBYond Vale. I waited too long to pull the trigger on them. Because I hinted at them as early as the Warfront arc was when I first started hinting at them, but I didn't really introduce them until the end, until the last stretch of chapters, and so they each kind of just get one fight and then they're dead. No, they don't have a whole lot of time to like really shine and be characters in and of themselves. They're more like physical obstacles for for the heroes to fight. So, but you do get some cool things like Ruby versus Panic, August versus Avarice, uh, Raven getting possessed by Avarice and then fighting Fury alongside Yang. That's cool. Also ripping off Full Metal Alchemist, but who cares? It's a fanfic. I can do whatever I want. Uh, no, like you are much more able to get away with ripping things off if it's a fan fiction already. If it's already a fan fiction. Team Ruby versus King, Weiss and Team Funky working together to fight Panic. Jean Rio and Ao versus Void. Blake and Yang versus Spite. It's fun. Velvet's in that fight too. She gets to kick some ass. Number 10, I have the Violet Rose arc. That's it takes place after the old Huntsman, but before Team Stark. It's about Summer's parents, Violet Rose and Julia Seasons. They fight in the Vital Festival tournament, and then witness the fall of Mountain Glen. The whole back half of it is about the destruction of Mountain Glen and the failures. And it's got a lot of returning faces. Like, a lot of the characters that appear in RWBYond Veil as, like, older, grizzled, jaded, old men and women get to appear in Violet Rose as the young, spry, idealistic, wide-eyed people. Like, Necros Faust is, like, a good guy. Like, Necros Faust is, like, gung-ho, let's do this, let's get the job done, let's save these people. And then by the end, he's the man who would end up becoming one of the main villains of RWBYond Veil. And it's all because they all sucked and they all failed, and a lot of people died, including his little sister. Number 6 is I thought this would be a lot higher. The Isle of Storms, the second arc of RWBYond Veil, and also by far the best. Teams Ruby, Juniper, Sun, and Arity go to the Isle of Storms to save Ozpin and get wrapped up in crazy adventures that include a mercenary group called Team Carnival, which includes Neo. It's Neo's gang. Neo gets her own team. You got Team Acacia, who are like a team designed specifically to be the perfect team. And they're led by Akanako, who... No, not Akanako. That's Akanako is the character from Nightwatch. Akagi. I use kind of the same basis for Akagi and Akanako. But Akagi, who is a failed attempt at creating an artificial silver-eyed warrior. And she's got it out for Ruby. She literally wants to kill Ruby and take her eyes. So on some Uchiha bullshit. Number 5 is RWBYond Destiny. This is the Cinder backstory, which I think I outdid myself with this, and how fucked up and dark and kind of disgusting I made it. Like, I really pushed the boundaries there. I really pushed the boundaries of good taste with Cinder's backstory and some of the things that happen in it. Then number 4 is the Mayhem and Mistral arc, the second arc of RWBYond Home. Prim and the gang, they move to Mistral in order to hunt down the Grimoire. The Grimoire are back, or at least Panic's back, and so Prim has to relocate to Mistral with her team and get wrapped up in all sorts of crazy adventures. And while I'm at it, number 3 is the Villains of Vacuo, the first arc in RWBYond Home, where Team Pink, which includes Prim and Glade, Prim and Glade arc, along with Nico Polendina, the synthetic daughter of Penny Polendina, and Chinzi Ren, the second child of Rin and Nora. That's Team Pink. They just graduated. They're fresh out of Beacon Academy. They head to Vacuo because that's where the action is. And Vacuo has a massive crime spree going on because people are fleeing Mistral because of a new vigilante named Nightshade. Totally not a precursor to Night Watch, I swear. Totally not also based on the Shadow. Uh, yeah, this new vigilante has all the lesser criminals running scared, but something's going on because these criminals who should be like jokes have incredibly powerful. You could even say bizarre semblances. Because I had just watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and I wanted some JoJo in my RWBY. Uh, Village of Vacuo is better than Mayhem and Mistral, mostly because it has more new things. Like, I have a lot of villains from Villains of Vacuo who then come back in Mayhem and Mistral, like Nightshade and Eve Taurus, Adam's daughter. Who Colonel Mustard is a character in both of them. He's basically my Scarecrow. He has a semblance that induces fear, and the stronger your aura, the stronger that fear is, the stronger the effect. Like it's a semblance that is very good at leveling the playing field. Like it actually pays to be weaker fighting him. Then number 2, I have RWBYond War. This is Ruby getting taken down a peg, but not really because she still wins. Like she still gets the last laugh. This is the introduction of Cypher and the introduction of Levi Searlevy, the Cypher commander who also just has it out for Ruby and wants her dead. Humiliated, but dead. And then number 1, my favorite thing from RWBYond I've written is All That Matters. Yeah, Colonel Mustard. Yeah, Scarecrow is also one of my favorite Batman villains. If you like, gun to my head, if you ask me like who my favorite Batman villain is, I'd probably say Riddler. But I also really fucking love Scarecrow, and I really love Mad Hatter too. Like I would put all 3 of them above Joker. Also, I wouldn't ever put him above the Joker, but I also really like Penguin, and I really like Two-Face, and I like Clayface, and I don't actually like Mr. Freeze that much. I do like his backstory, his motivation. I don't like him as a reoccurring villain, though. He's good for like 1 or 2 stories, and then wrap it up and don't use him again because you're just recycling at that point. Similar deal with Clayface. Like Clayface is really good for like 2, maybe 3 stories, and then wrap him up. Don't use him again. Penguin, Scarecrow, Two-Face, like you could always find something to do with them. Anyway, my voice is shot now. I've been going for about an hour and a half. That's gonna actually do it. Thank you all for watching. Join me next time. After next week, when I get caught up with JJK and Freerun and all that, this live show will probably switch from weekly to bi-weekly in order for me to have more time to edit. I need to get these podcasts done. I need to catch up with them because I have about 10 minutes of audio left for the Volume 2 retrospective. Then we have like 4 hours of audio for the Volume 3 retrospective. Another 4 hours of audio for the Volume 4 retrospective. We're recording the Volume 5 retrospective pretty soon. We have 14 episodes to cover, so that's probably going to be 3.5 to 4, maybe even 4.5 hours of audio I'll have to go through on that. We also have about 3 hours of audio for me to go through for... I'm not going to reveal it here, but we did a podcast, just the 2 of us, about something non-RWBY related, and I got to get that edited as well. So I'm going to have a busy couple of weeks here ahead of me, and the live show, even though it doesn't require a whole lot of prep work, and I never spend more than like 2 hours on it, it does take a lot of my time, because once it starts getting like close to that time, I basically put down everything I'm doing, just like kind of recuperate, get something to eat, and think about like everything I'm going to say in the podcast or in the live show. Because I don't want to like get into anything else and then have to like stop at a bad spot in order to do the live show on time. Uh, so yeah, so live show will in all likelihood switch to bi-weekly starting in March. But until then, thank you all for watching. Follow me on Twitter. If I have time tonight, I will be watching Batman Mr. Free Sub-Zero and live tweeting